Hey everybody,
Welcome to Tech Over Coffee.
I'm Jeremy.
That's Jeremy.
That's
Yeah.
Jib.
Yeah, that's me. Hi.
Whoa, and this is a podcast.
Yeah, Tech Over Coffee.
Yeah, where we talk about all sorts of tech news.
Over coffee.
And new sorts of interesting things that, come into our vision. And
things that
mind.
things that are in the tech sphere, whether
Yeah.
locally or just on the news. So.
And, we're back from a cool winter break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where, we spent time on our own, not thinking about tech
It's
or any sorts of topics.
a whole month not thinking about tech. We did not come prepared.
No. But we're always prepared because that's the way of the podcast.
Absolutely.
And to lead our podcast for the day, I think we need to talk about a friend of the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a friend named Ron D.
Ron D.
Ron
who?
DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis.
The governor of Florida has actually announced back in December, I believe, a plan going forward for the state of Florida to actually start accepting cryptocurrencies as payment for state fees.
That's odd.
Which is a pretty big move, I think. Trying to push Florida, forward, being a leader in all sorts of areas, right?
I mean, that's kind of weird too, because it's like no other state has really thought about implementing cryptocurrency.
Yeah, there's very few. I think there's a couple states that might allow you to pay your local taxes or something like that.
Right. But not setting up a whole program.
Yeah, right. Set up a state funded from the top. You can pay your I don't know, I guess any kind of permits or fees or possibly even your taxes, which would be pretty cool.
I mean, there's not many real good details on how that is performed, but I mean,
and if it all depends, right? Because you can go maybe three different ways.
Right.
You can either kind of farm it out, have a third party company do your processing. Or they could go
filing your taxes.
Yeah, right. Just work with any of the different exchanges. I think Coinbase has a Coinbase Commerce program where you can basically create wallets, send payments, and then they automatically exchange it to cash or whatever. So that way the state wouldn't have to hold on to cryptocurrency, right? But if instead they're looking at this as a way to make some investments for the state, right? Build up a little war chest of Bitcoin before everyone else does.
Bulking up so then they get that, that profit or that, that amount over time.
Right.
It can earn them a pretty buck or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if you really want to, you could bolster the whole state's tax revenue from just holding cryptocurrency, right? And it also cuts out other expenses because if they have to currently use credit cards or other processors, they actually have to pay a percentage, right? So there's convenience fees that they charge
there's
people.
There's fees tacked on to paying,
and that's from anywhere from 1% to 5% sometimes,
and that can sometimes be a lot. Yeah,
especially when you're talking about the millions of dollars that a state runs through. So if they actually really go the whole way, which, I mean, let's just say Ron DeSantis has previously been open to funding more cyber-forward initiatives, right?
I mean, if that isn't true, then we wouldn't have a whole grant dedicated to us here at Chipola. I mean,
right?
He personally came here and presented that himself, just for the technology field that we have in our program.
And having a stash of Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is not a bad idea. Especially when it's really up and coming and becoming more used and needed in certain scenarios.
It can help even fund educational stuff what we have here at Chipola.
Right. Yeah. And cut out other fees. If you can just have a state-run payment processing system, you don't have to use a bank. You don't have to use anything else. Of course, they're going to have an amount that's going to just immediately be converted. Yeah. But if they keep a small stash on the side, it could work out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's one of the most exciting things to see our government finally adopting cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future.
Viewed as something more than just a joke or a scam on the side,
absolutely.
Which is really cool.
An actual what's the word? I wouldn't say fungible, but you can actually use it. In proper ways. Possibly
the exact opposite. Just as long as they don't start accepting NFTs for your taxes, we're probably good. So if you've not heard of NFTs, and I know that they've become a little bit more popular,
especially within the recent few months.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
even the last year. I mean,
it's really exploded over the last year, basically, and almost everyone's trying to jump into like some kind of NFT. Like you've got artists to like even big companies are doing like I think Disney has done a number of like NFT like cards for like movie premieres, giving the idea of scarcity to something when there really isn't much.
yeah. I mean, there's no point for something to be. A thing is only as much as you value it to be. You know?
Right. So if you don't really understand the concept of an NFT, it's basically a digital receipt.
Right.
It's something that shows that you have ownership of something. And it's stored on a blockchain like Ethereum. And then you have the ability to transfer that token to someone else. And that token can represent either, say, like a piece of art or a like a special like key or something like that.
Generally, something digital
Yeah.
that represents something.
Which isn't entirely what it has to be either. It's like if we move forward, you can use this to represent land deeds and other things of that sort. But as it stands, it's mostly used for trading cards and odd art projects.
Little collectibles and collection items that you can find online.
It could be an interesting way for people to sell music or anything else. But right now, it's representing digital land in Facebook's metaverse or
giant titanium blocks that sit in warehouses that you can only see for a year.
I don't think it's titanium though.
Titanium?
No, it's tungsten.
Tungsten,
which is a lot heavier than titanium. And also a lot more expensive, apparently.
They both start with T's. I'm confused. But
not the same as NFTs, because the tungsten is fungible.
But the NFT would be the receipt to the tungsten.
Right.
See, that's how they get you.
Yeah, because then you can own a giant piece of tungsten that you can't move around, but you can go see every once in a while for the low price of, I think, about $20,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And that's the real big push right now behind NFTs is the fact that people can, like, trade and make money off of selling pieces of rare collectibles, right? Like, it's without having to go through the effort of making something real.
Right.
You can just have a digital representation of something.
It doesn't even have to be an actual physical thing, just as long as it's just a digital, like the original digital copy, not even copy of that.
Yeah.
The original thing.
Yeah, right.
So.
Which, it can do something. It can be something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
As it stands now, I'm not so sure.
Especially when you adapt it into kind of like a interactive digital world.
Right. Now, if you start, weaving that into an in-game economy where you can really make something that usually isn't very high stakes,
Right.
you can make it actually something pretty big, because then you can trade digital items amongst yourselves. They can actually create real rarity in a game.
Right.
But when it comes to real life, I don't know. But then also, you really could just, buy a plot of land next to Snoop Dogg, and that'd be pretty cool.
In real life, yeah. Or, mind you can buy a piece of land in the metaverse.
Yeah.
And
Next to
also,
Snoop Dogg.
Next to Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
Yeah. You and like 4 other people could live next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse, which is, I mean, I don't know. Is this like the new Facebook page? Like,
honestly,
pretty cool if you could just be like, hey, I'm right next to that guy.
Who knows? Honestly, this whole metaverse thing is.
It's not really even been fully defined yet.
It's
right?
confusing to me because it's something that has already existed.
Yeah.
As you were saying earlier, with stuff like Second
Life, basically,
and other like digital worlds and stuff like that. There's even like whole economies and worlds that exist in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine if instead of like having individual websites, you had like full areas dedicated to Amazon or Walmart or whatever, Etsy shop you want, where you just, can throw on your Oculus, Facebook branded Meta headset.
Go buy groceries and it shows up in your front door
and
the
have
next
someone
day.
deliver it to you same day, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make the whole, like, online shopping experience a little bit different, where you could pick up a digital representation of an item and be like, well, that's what that would look like.
That's kind of what I want, and I think I'm going to buy it.
So it's really a big mesh of a bunch of different technological advances and then trying to combine it all together from, the NFTs, cryptocurrencies as modes of payment and fungibility to products, right? Making them unique and having them represent something that can be real. And then also having a virtual reality, or augmented reality headsets to kind of all bring it together.
Yeah.
Basically trying to make what is it they're calling it now? It's a Web 4D or Web 3D.
I have no clue what they actually call it.
Yeah,
The only thing I've heard about, the whole metaverse thing is Facebook actually changing their name to Meta.
Yeah.
And so that made me go, oh, why would they change their name to Meta? Well, it's because they want to develop this whole metaverse. And they haven't even actually released what they want it to be.
No, and they're leaving it open to interpretation too, which is a pretty good move because if you don't really fully have the idea,
It builds interest.
Let people come up with it for you.
Yeah.
And then just give them whatever they want after they tell you what they want.
Yeah.
It's kind of
A really
good
unique
move.
business idea, honestly.
I think it's probably just a way to get Facebook some more interest. I mean, Facebook's kind of like old hat at this point.
They're kind of dying out in a very new way.
It's no TikTok. That's all I know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean-
who knows? It could really, it could go a bunch of different ways. It could be the next big thing, or it could just be the same old stuff.
I mean, it kind of makes sense with the development of cryptocurrency and NFTs, the way that Facebook is trying to make this, or Meta, sorry.
Yes, Meta.
Correct myself.
Which, they're still separate products,
Yeah.
though.
But I mean, they're still, interlinked together. I mean,
Yeah. Ultimately, they're going to feed off of each other, possibly one absorbing the other.
Yeah.
And,
But on that note, metaverse.
It's a big confusing thing that the Zuck's trying to pull over on us. That's all I know.
Kind of also in the digital atmosphere as well, kind of relating to the metaverse, I guess, when we're talking about, virtual reality, headsets,
digital spaces, and the like.
Gaming is a big thing that we do.
Yeah.
In the tech atmosphere, it's one of the biggest things that we talk about.
It's a big pusher of advancement in computer technology as well.
Yeah.
Trying to really push the limits of what technology is capable of.
On that note, a lot of gaming platforms, gaming softwares, and all the such are going to, leaning away from a buy to play or subscription based layout of their game or their software, and they're actually leaning towards more of a free to play layout of their business structure,
Which has been a long push for a while now, trying to shift the way, and especially once it happens with one game, you really kind of have to do it with all of the competition because it's hard to want to pay for something when you can get a similar experience for free.
Yeah.
Or at least a quasi-free where it's free to a point and you can pay for all of the cool stuff.
Yeah. For the longest time, games like World of Warcraft, have been wanting to go free to play. And there's been a lot of push for people or the developers to actually make the game free to play with some subscription package in there.
Yeah.
So Blizzard or whatever company is hosting the game to actually make their money. When you really look at them, and it is a really big business tactic because they'll be making more money in the long run, provided that they have more of a free player base.
It all depends on how you build the pay structure as well, because while you can just do a simple subscription, you will definitely limit the number of subscribers that you have because not everybody's going to be willing to pay however much money per month.
Yeah.
But if you open that up, you have a larger player base, you then can advertise or offer different services to different people that are willing to pay. And ultimately, you can have a layered effect. You can have people that aren't willing to pay $15 a month, but are willing to occasionally pay $5 to $10 for a
new
map
battle
pack or
new battle
whatever.
pass.
Yeah, I mean, it's, every 3 to 6 months you release a new thing that everyone has to pay for, and honestly, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So,
and then you're raking more money out of them in the long run, it really...
And offering a way to have more content.
Keeps
because
people playing.
You get more money flowing through it. And that's actually a thing that, now you have longer lasting games that take a lot longer before you get a new version because you're just going to have new stuff come out for the same platform. Why build a new Grand Theft Auto when you can just have, more DLC releases.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, exactly. Let's just make another Skyrim.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they just did
That's
recently.
what they've done.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Now my question is, to finally, just wrap everything up in a very clean ways, is Metaverse going to be free to play?
Yeah, see, is it going to require you to... I think it's going to be free to play, right? But
Free
you're
to
gonna have
play or
buy-
free to live?
You're going to have to buy the meta tokens to do anything.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to buy them from Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh no.
That and any of his various, friends or NPCs that they have set up to sell you meta tokens,
Yeah.
so that you can make another 5 steps down the road. Who knows? There's all sorts of ways this could go.
To unlock the next episode of Tech Over Coffee,
You'll just have to pay us 5 Tech Over Coffee coins.
or to unlock the Tech Over Coffee Battle Pass, it will be 15 meta token coins.
Yeah, every 3 to 5 months.
We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, bye.